Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
Good morning, life. Good morning, sun. How are you? Skies above.
A bit of a disclaimer for today's video. I'm talking about my skin journey and I'm going to be putting in some photos and stuff which might not be very pretty, so if you don't want to look then maybe don't watch this video, as this is my outlet and it is a big thing for me. Yeah, I just want to get out there what's been going on because I do get questions about my skin and obviously it's a quite an obvious thing. Start at the beginning. So March 2020 I developed a spot on my cheek and up here on my forehead, right in my hairline, and they just started out as like normal spots that were like under the skin, so you couldn't really see it but you could feel it, and then they developed further into like a whitehead, just as a spot normally would do. And I don't really suffer with bad skin, like my skin isn't oily, it isn't dry, like it's fine. Get the occasional spot, you can probably see on my chin, I get like the occasional spot, but it's never been a big deal for me. Didn't really think anything of it. They started getting a lot bigger and a lot more painful, started bleeding a lot and started to look a bit infected. No matter what I did, I was keeping them clean, I wouldn't put makeup on them, but they just continued getting bigger and it got to the point where there was so much pressure in them, they just kept bleeding and got really disgusting. So obviously I went to the GP and was prescribed some antibiotics and some cream. This didn't help at all. The one on my forehead, it did go on its own. I don't know whether it was the cream or the antibiotics that helped, but the one on my cheek got a lot worse. I didn't change anything in my skincare, I didn't change anything in my makeup. I kept them very clean. I tried everything, salt water, obviously antibiotics, creams, everything, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I ended up going to dermatology and because it was locked down it was so hard to get an appointment, but I managed to get into dermatology to see someone. They diagnosed it as a sebaceous cyst, which obviously you don't want that on your face, and I just felt so disgusting. Like, that's so embarrassing, and it was something that I couldn't help. Like, I don't know why I got it. They tried me on some different creams and said if it didn't get better they would have to surgically remove it, which is the normal procedure if you have a cyst. About almost a year later I went back to dermatology to have my cyst removed because obviously the creams didn't work, but by this point all infection had gone and it had just turned into scar tissue. She just said, we can remove the scar, but you're always going to have a scar, so like there's nothing we can do. And I was like, cool, got this ugly scar on my face now. That was really hard on my self-esteem. Like, the whole time I had this horrible ugly spot that would just bleed and was so painful. It had so much pressure in it, it felt like a blister on my face. And it was at a time where we were wearing face masks, so I had to have something on my face, something touching it all the time, which definitely didn't help. And it helped in terms of I could cover it up and no one would see. I could just keep my face mask on. But part of me thinks maybe if I didn't have to wear a mask, it might not have gotten as bad. Yeah, that was a really, really hard time mentally for me because like, it's just embarrassing. It got so bad and like you knew that people were looking at it, and yeah, it was horrible. This scar on my cheek, said nothing we can really do about it, might fade over time as scars do. Obviously it was quite raised, so it did stick out on my face and it was very obvious. In July last year, so July 2022, I noticed a spot on my forehead and I could tell that it was quite similar to the ones I'd had before. I just got into a complete state. I was like, I cannot go through that again. It was like a year and a half of trying to be seen and it was just getting worse and worse and worse, and I just had to wait it out for it to go on its own, and it left this horrible scar on my face. and I was just like, I can't go through that again. I can't have more scars on my face. So I got in touch with my GP straight away and said, look, this is going to turn into a cyst again. Why do I keep getting them? How do I stop getting them? Because again, nothing had changed in my skincare, nothing had changed in my makeup. I was keeping my face super clean, and like, I've been terrified of getting any more. In touch with the GP, and again, had a phone appointment because couldn't see anyone face to face, and they just said, oh, it's probably just an infection, like, we'll give you some antibiotics. And I said, antibiotics do not work. I keep having to wait it out. It's going to get really bad. I want someone to see me and tell me why I'm getting these. I don't want to go on antibiotics again. If you've been on antibiotics before, you know that they're quite, like, you have to take them every 4 hours, 4 times a day, and can't eat certain things and you can't drink certain things, and like, they can make you not very well. So I really didn't want to go through that again, but I wasn't getting any other help. So I just thought, you know, I'll take the antibiotics, even though I know they're not going to work, but at least I can say I try. I kept trying to get in touch with my doctors, but there was just such a backlog of appointments. And we said, like, I was seeing dermatology for the one on my cheek. I really need to go to dermatology again, see someone who knows about skin, because they've seen it in the past on me, so they'll be able to help. But because it had been over 6 months since I went to dermatology for the one on my face, they were like, no, you've got to get a referral again from the GP, which was taking forever to see me. I had an appointment about 2 months later, so this was in September 2022, and I'd obviously sent over some photos of it, and at this point it was quite bad. It was getting into the stage where it was bleeding all the time. It had a lot of pressure in it, and the doctor said, you have cystic acne, and one of the ways we can treat this is Roaccutane. And I was so happy that I finally had a diagnosis and I finally had a solution, because this was something I'd lived with for like the last 2 years of not knowing what was going on, not knowing how to fix it, having all these horrible spots on my face, all these scars, and finally someone saying, oh, you've got this, we can fix it. So over the moon about that. Roaccutane, there's quite a lot of like side effects to it, so they have to be really, really careful. So they were like, you've got to go in for a blood test, and then you'll have a review of your blood test results, and we'll be able to discuss which type of Roaccutane will be best for you. Went in for the blood test, and I am awful with injections, blood tests. I just faint. I'm a fainter, and I was absolutely terrified. But I went, got my blood test done, because I was like, if this blood test is going to be able to help me get rid of these horrible spots, I'm going to do it. And never heard anything back. Never got my blood test results, never heard anything about starting Roaccutane again. Kept trying to make doctor's appointments. Every single doctor I went to, no one had any clue. I was having to explain myself every single time, and they just go, oh, it's just a cyst, antibiotics. It made me feel so disgusting as a person. It really, really affected my self-esteem. I'd had people make comments about it when I was at work, when I worked at Starbucks. I had a guy say, oh, you've got something on your face, got something on your face, what's that on your face? And I just wanted to cry. Like, it's so embarrassing. It makes you feel like a disgusting, dirty person. And that wasn't the case. Like, my general hygiene is really good. I've got these warts, like, I'm disgusting. Like, why do I keep getting them? And I'm so, so grateful for the people around me for understanding and not judging me for 1 second, especially like Harrison, who was like sharing a bed with me, and I'd be like, oh, my spot's bleeding again, and like he would have to go get me tissue. I couldn't go anywhere without tissue in case like my spots popped, and it was just disgusting. These infections, disgusting, horrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy at all. This was severely affecting my mental health, because one on my forehead actually ended up spreading further down, so I ended up having 2 really big spots on my forehead. Really, really got to me. I was so down. I had this scar on my cheek, I had 2 horrible spots on my forehead. It's happening again. Like, what can I do? I'm trying everything, No one's listening to me, no one's helping me, and I just felt so down about it. It was just embarrassing. I didn't want to go out. Like, I didn't want people to look at my face and, oh, what she got on her face. It was horrible. I work with kids. Like, kids have no filter. They don't care. They'll be like, what is on your face? And then you've got to try and come up with an excuse. I normally just say like, oh, my face is a bit poorly, probably scaring the hell out of them because they're like, I don't ever want that on my face. Yeah, it was really hard, and I know the kids meant absolutely no harm with it, but obviously it was a constant reminder that you have this horrible thing on your face that everyone can see. I wished it was in another place, like on my back or on my legs, because at least then I could cover it up. It was like every person you talked to, you could just tell that they were looking at it. I still had the ones on my forehead, and I actually went in to talk about my depression and how my skin was affecting my mental health, and that I really needed to see the dermatology now, because back when I got diagnosed with cystic acne, they said, oh, you're on the wait list for dermatology, they'll see you in December. December come round, didn't see anyone. Then we called up again, they said, oh, you're still on the wait list, they'll see you in February. Got to February, oh, our wait list has been backlogged again, we'll see you in March. And that just kept happening and kept happening, and every time I went to a GP they were like, no, we can't help, you need to go to dermatology. Every time we called up dermatology, oh, our wait list is too long. What can I do? What can I do? Nothing, absolutely nothing. And it's the same, no one's helping. This problem is getting worse. I don't know why I'm getting them, I don't know how to stop it. By the time I got a dermatology appointment, which was for July this year, July 2023, they were all scars on my face now. So you can see here, there's one here and one here, and they are covered with makeup, and then the one on my cheek as well. So I went into dermatology in July, and she was baffled. Was waiting for this appointment for so long. I was so prepared. I wrote out in my notebook all of the points when the first spot appeared, how that progressed, how difficult it had been trying to get an appointment with the doctors, trying to get an appointment with dermatology, how I felt really like forgotten about and like nobody wanted to help me, and how this was really affecting my mental health now as well. I think I did have a little bit of a cry, and I just said, I don't want any more scars, this is really affecting me. I don't want my whole life to just have more and more scars on my face. She really understood. I also showed her all of the photos. I had screenshots of every single spot, how they had progressed, and she said, that doesn't look like a cyst. Finally someone was listening to me, and she said, no wonder this didn't work, no wonder that didn't work, it doesn't look like a cyst. The way your body has healed, that's not how a cyst heals. Now the question is, why do I get them, and why does my body scar like this? So she was like, can you come in 2 days time to speak to my other colleagues, because I really want a second opinion on what could be going on and how we can go further. 2 days time I went back, I saw the same doctor, and I saw 2 of her colleagues who were also dermatologists, and they were all very surprised that I hadn't been seen sooner, and felt sorry that no one had helped, and I now had these scars. And they decided they wanted to do a biopsy on some of the scar tissue on my cheek, because that was the biggest scar and it was sticking out on my face. So they said, yeah, we'll do a biopsy on the scar tissue, so we'll remove it and we'll test on it to try and find out what's going on. That's fast forwarded to now. I had my surgery on the 1st of November, so this month. So it's still such a long time, but at least in the meantime I haven't had any more issues. I went in and had my biopsy, which is this healing now. Took a before, and this is obviously the after for now. I have to let Lola in 1 second. I'm back. I can't remember where I got to. I think I was saying about my surgery. I removed the lumpy scar tissue, except this little bit here. Oh, my camera's gonna die now. God, it's one thing after another. They had to cauterize it to stop the bleeding, and now I've got these dark scabs left, which will obviously fall off over time. And then I've got a silicone gel to put over it for the next few weeks to hopefully help with fading. So they left this little bit here just because they said if they took it off it could be a messier scar, and obviously they're trying to keep it quite neat so that it will be more discreet. I mean, I'm quite lucky, it's kind of on my smile line, so hopefully when it's not as red and scabby it will just look like a dimple and it will fit nicely into that crease. So I'm excited to see. Obviously I'll keep you updated. Camera is about to die, and I think I've explained everything now. Thank you for watching this video. I just wanted to get on and explain my story a little bit and my struggles, and to help if anyone was in the same situation and had similar problems with their skin or with the doctors, because I know how frustrating it is, and I want this to be a place where people can share their experiences and know that they're not alone. Love to you all. Thank you for watching.
Say what you wanna say to me now.